looked at today's theme of sky, and right away in my head, songs started popping up that would have been appropriate. Norman Greenbaum's Spirit in the Sky, Rocky Mountain High, My Corner of the Sky from Pippin. But the first thing that popped in my head was actually two songs that went together, and I put them together, and I'm not going to sing them, I'll save you that. On second thought, but listen to, I'm just going to read this and listen to the words. This is the air I breathe. Welcome, sulfur dioxide. This is the air I breathe. Hello, carbon monoxide. Your holy presence, the air, living in me is everywhere. This is my daily bread, breathe deep. This is my daily bread while I sleep, your very word, breathe deep, is spoken to me. And I'm desperate for you. And I'm lost without you. This is the air I breathe. Bless you. Alcohol bloodstream, this is the air I breathe. Save me, nicotine lung steam, your holy presence. Incense. Living in me is in the air. This is my daily bread, breathe deep. This is my daily bread while I sleep, your very word, breathe deep, is spoken to me. And I'm cataclysmic ectoplasm, and I'm fallout atomic orgasm, desperate for you. And I'm vapor and fume, and I'm lost as a stone at my tomb without you. And I'm breathing like a sullen perfume, desperate for you. Eating at the stone of my tomb, I'm lost without you. Looking rather attractive, I'm lost without you. Now that I'm radioactive, I'm desperate for you. Just watch me spark. Cry out to live. I glow in the dark, I'm desperate for you. Breathe deep, I'm lost. While I sleep, I'm lost. Breathe deep, I'm lost without you. Of course, this poem is a mashup of Hair and this hymn that we had today. This is the Air I Breathe, written by Michael W. Smith, and Air by James Ratto and Jerome Ragney. Really, it is the first thing I thought of when I thought of today's theme of Sky Sunday. The imagery of these two songs put together speaks to what is happening today and every day. I hope it brought some images about. It might have been disturbing, and I kind of hope it was. When I used to drive from Palm Springs into LA, there's that one hill you come over and you can see the whole basin of Los Angeles. And every time I came over there, there's that lovely brown haze just hanging over the city saying, welcome to fresh air and clean living. The air is everywhere, and this is the air we breathe. The original gospel sign for today by the writers for Season of Creation this year actually was the story of the crucifixion where the sky turns dark for 3 hours. But I chose instead this reading today where Christ actually uses a saying that we are all familiar with. Red sky in morning, sailors take warning. Red sky at night, sailors delight. Who knew that that was actually that old? The other readings for today, because traditionally there are 3 readings, usually an Old Testament and a Psalm, were very short, but I wanted to include them. So the first reading would have been Jeremiah. And Jeremiah says, I looked at the earth, and it was without shape or form, and the heavens, and there was no light. I looked at the mountains, and they were quaking, and all the hills were rocking back and forth. I looked, and there was no one left. Every bird in the sky had taken flight. I looked at the fertile land, and it was a desert. All the towns were in ruins before the Lord, before his fury. The Lord proclaims the whole earth will become a desolation, but I will not destroy it completely. Therefore the earth will grieve. The earth itself will grieve, and the heavens will grow dark. And the other reading was from Psalms. And it's a Psalm of David. It says, the heaven is declaring God's glory. The sky is proclaiming his handiwork. One day gushes the news to the next. And one night informs another what needs to be known. And of course there is no speech, no words. Their voices can't be heard. but their sound extends throughout the world. Their words reach the ends of the earth. God has made a tent in heaven for the sun, and the sun, like a groom coming out of his honeymoon suite, like a warrior, it thrills at running its course. It rises in one end of the sky and sets in the other. Its circuit is complete. Nothing escapes its heat. There is a theme between these three readings, which is the voice of creation. A more specific way in which the sky not only announces and celebrates God's presence, but also sympathizes with creation when it suffers. Have you ever watched the skies before a storm was brewing? The black clouds, maybe in a distance, coming in, like wall after wall of waves. I can actually relate to an actual experience where I was sitting, I had just stepped out of my lovely double wide in Palm Springs, and I looked at the sky, and it was brown, and it was moving fast. A Habib was coming in. I just ran to my neighbors and said, get your umbrellas down, get your things off the porch, and put them inside the house. Within 15 minutes, it was windstorm and dust everywhere. The sky did give us warning of what was about to come. Or have you ever had that eerie feeling that comes maybe during an eclipse when all the animals kind of get quiet and spooked? Or why is the sky so important to us? It seems our moods very much change with the sky itself. If it's sunny, we tend to be more joyous. If it's cloudy, we tend to be a little bit more grumpier. Although in California it might be the opposite way around because we're so thankful for a little bit of rain. Even the sprinkle we had yesterday in certain parts brought a moment of joy. What does it mean to us? Is our faith influenced by the sky or related to the sky in some way? It's interesting to note. Basically, the answer is yes. In the Old Testament, whenever they refer to the heavens, the original Hebrew could be translated as sky or skies. And really, that often works better, for me anyway, than the air around us, above us, and beyond us. The space between us is where God dwells. It is heaven. God is living, according to the Old Testament, right here, right now, right between us. We take God in. This is the air I breathed. We exhale God. This is the air I breathe. We harm and foul God with pollutants from cigarette smoke to exhaust from coal mines and power plants. We made on earth a member of this congregation, and at this moment we are sitting in God, on God, and around God. In Jeremiah's vision, he sees an enemy about to destroy all that God has created. And as a matter of fact, the season of creation's author, the one who gives us little snippets and ideas, mentions that actually Jeremiah takes the whole creation story and decreates it, or makes it backwards. So when in the beginning of Genesis, all is void, and he says, all is waste and void, Jeremiah says. And then day one, there is no light in the sky, which is verse 23 in Jeremiah. In verse 25, Jeremiah, there is no birds in the sky. In verse 26 in Jeremiah, there's no vegetation on all the lands or the earth. Jeremiah's vision turns the whole of the original creation process upside down. This portrait is supposed to be more or less a metaphor, but I kind of wonder when you look around at what we're doing to the earth these days. The destruction is happening around us every day. The fires are wiping out acres in Northern California right now because of drought. Drought also devastates in other ends of the country, whereas here, if we have heavy rains this winter, there will be mudslides. There will be flash floods. In other places, there are floods right now wiping out communities and civilizations. And our glaciers are receding and the water levels are rising, and we've heard these warning signs before. Jeremiah ends his vision by predicting the earth will mourn, the sky will turn black. I've actually seen the sky turn black and the sun disappear due to fires. So first time I ever saw that was my very first time in California when I just drove across the country. We woke up in the morning, there was no sun because Oakland was burning. And I've seen it happen right in our own neighborhood, driving home from here, because the mountain behind our house was on fire and the sun was blocked out from the smoke, just a little red dot in the sky. Jeremiah has laments where he speaks further of the earth mourning and the land crying aloud to God. I believe in many cases this is happening today, and the land is crying out, and we're beginning to listen. The author of the Seasons of Creation, a Sky Sunday Bible Study, tells us that we have created a hole in the ozone layer by excessive use of various sprays and chemicals. We have released chlorofluorines molecules into the atmosphere. The stratosphere's chlorine atoms escape, and these molecules attack the ozone molecules. The resulting hole first appeared over the South Pole, and we know it got bigger and it got bigger. And this allows for more UV rays to come through. The sun has increased the rates of skin cancer. What he doesn't tell us, and I had to double check on this, I actually looked it up today, and recently this year, scientists are predicting if we keep going the way we're going, as in making differences, making changes, the ozone may actually repair itself by 2070. And there are years when it's worse and years when it's better. There are many ways in which we have polluted the sky. It's not just with fluorocarbons, combustion fuels. Fuels in factories and cars produce a host of noxious materials that fill our skies. One of the common effects, of course, is smog, that lovely gray-brown layer that hangs over LA. But it's not just LA, it's all of our major cities. Or when there's an accident in another country and the winds prevail, eventually the radiation gets here. It's not just one person's job, it's all of our jobs, because it affects the whole planet. But again, I must say, we're getting better. Our dependency on fossil fuels is still way too high. We're still in the very early stages of switching from more hybrid fuel cell cars, but we're getting there. Today, the LAPD bought 174 electric cars. Most of our buses run on clean burning natural gas as opposed to oil-based. People have shrugged at solar power and energy, declaiming it's a flash in the pan or not viable. But I still wonder what would happen if we required every new structure to have solar panels, or at least every new government building. In full sun, you can safely assume about 100 watts of solar energy per square foot. If you assume 12 hours of sun per day, this equates to 438,000 watts of hours per square foot per year. Based on 28,878,400 square feet per square mile, sunlight can give us a whopping 12.2 trillion watts of hour per square mile per year. We have only begun to scratch the surface of basically free energy. Of course, that upsets some people. Somebody's going to lose money and somebody's getting something for free. The energy companies, many stand in the way because they feel they're losing as solar becomes popular instead of investing in solar. The gas companies are losing money, and every time we threaten to do something to use less dependence on oil, what do they scream? Well, you're going to raise the prices of gas. Well, go ahead, I'm not going to use it anyway. Organizations, much like the United Church of Christ, are divesting from petroleum investments. And yet there are companies left and right are trying to block these changes. They have big lobbies, making noises on different hills in different cities. But finally, the author I've been sharing with you from the from the Seasons of Creation goes on to remind us, many of us have been conditioned to think that the only humans communicate the mysteries of God, getting back to what we were talking about earlier with all the readings. We do not expect the other parts of creation to have a voice like that of humans. Butterflies do not talk, yet. While Michael's playing his beautiful centerpiece today, a giant butterfly is flying around out here. I couldn't help but notice. Trees do not sing the way we do, and yet they're hypnotizing to watch when a little breeze is blowing. Skies don't vocalize, yet they give us warning when the weather's going to change, when something's on the horizon or over the horizon. Psalm 19 indicates just the opposite. or just what I'm saying, I should say. Many psalms, like Psalm 148, celebrate the way trees sing, fields rejoice, and the rest of creation praises God. The psalmist invites all creation, including sea monsters and storms and some of them, to praise the Creator. Sometimes we think this is kind of poetic language, giving human voice to non-human reality, but Psalm 19 suggests that the voice of creation is more than a poetic way of praising God. All creation is here communicating about and with the Creator. In this psalm, the sky proclaims God good news in its own way, not a human way. The sky is a mediator of God's word. The sky announces two things: the vibrant presence of God and the creative work of God. Unfortunately, over the city of angels, the sky often mourns and warns of the troubled air. The sky becomes distressful for those with conditions of lungs or for young people. And on certain days, the particle count is so high, the air is warranted unsafe. This is a call. The sky is actually giving us a call to listen to God in heaven. Listen to God in the sky. Listen to God in the air, around us, in us, and remember, this is the air we breathe. Amen.